so many times, even within a conversation outside of education, if you ask somebody about somebody who had a real influence in their life, they'll tell you it was a teacher. There's always that special teacher that really made a difference in someone's life. And so with our work, what we've really tried to do is to bring that celebration of the wonderful things that teachers are currently doing, the influence that they have over people's lives, and the impact. They talk on social media these days about people who are influencers. And to me, that's the work that teachers have been doing for years. And they're doing it with a great deal of education and intellect and intelligence and compassion for students and real passion for learning. And being able to bring what's happening naturally in many cases and to bring it into a place where more people can really recognize it, can name it, and can experience it, for me, that's really exciting.
One of our first conversations was about how there was really a need to provide some kind of forum and some support for mentors and for mentees to come together to develop their relationships, having more structured conversations than sort of the ad hoc conversations they were having in classrooms or in hallways in the short amount of time that they were kind of able to cobble together. And I think that was the intention behind our initial research project. Because we ran the project across a couple of years, so I think our early findings just built on what we had suspected.
I mean, our experience has been that teachers, well, forever have always supported each other. They've always collaborated. But oftentimes it wasn't named, and nobody actually referred to that as mentoring. It was just really part of what great teachers do, is they help each other. And so in naming it, it gave us the opportunity not only to recognize it, but also to celebrate it. And then to look at some really concrete ways that we could help teachers to undertake the mentoring process so that they felt supported and so that it was easier to do and that they had some good insights into what might be helpful.
Absolutely. I think the spirit of our work has always been to help teachers build and develop some of the relationships that they were kind of naturally developing, and to provide them with some support so that their conversations could be centered in ways that could be productive and could help them really foster long-term relationships in positive ways. So I'm going to share a little bit about the flow of our text. In chapter 1, we really focus on mentoring partnership and how to cultivate that relationship. In chapter 2, we start to get into some more knowledge building and skills development around the mentoring role. And in chapter 3, we step back and we take a look at what we mean by reciprocity or reciprocal learning. In chapters 4 and 5, we take a look at mentoring with respect to some larger questions. So mentoring as leadership and how to create and establish mentoring communities. So you can see that as we go through the text, we're addressing certainly in a flow, but also each chapter can sort of address a different kind of need as a standalone.
I mean, one of the activities that we do that we particularly like is where we ask the mentor and the mentee to share with each other basically the gifts or the traits or the characteristics that they bring to the mentoring partnership. Because I think a lot of times with mentoring, we think that people bring knowledge or expertise, but people bring so much more than that. And so we have an activity where we actually ask the mentor and the mentee to write down on sticky notes the different characteristics they have, and then just draw a rough outline of a tree on a piece of chart paper, and then put all these wonderful colored sticky notes on top of the outline of the tree. And it gives a wonderful visual image of all of the things that teachers are bringing, both the teacher who is perhaps new and the teacher who is more experienced, that they're both bringing things to the partnership. And it really speaks to the reciprocity of the relationship. And it really allows people to get that visual understanding of the fact that they've all got something valuable to share.
One of my favorite tools from the book is our tool which helps the mentor and mentee have a conversation about their shared values or what they value in education and why they entered the profession to begin with. As Diane said, we're really focused on reciprocity, and that's one of the core themes of our research and certainly of this text, is that we want to recognize that no matter how much experience or how varied your experience is coming into education, that you do have rich expertise, gifts, things that you're passionate about, And we wanted to provide our mentors and mentees with an opportunity to share what it is that brought them to education and why they're passionate about what they do and what they value in the classroom. So one of our mentoring moves is centered around teachers naming what it is that they value in education and what brings them into the classroom with the hope of improving things for students every day.
I think that advice that I would share would be probably applicable to new teachers and very experienced teachers as well. And it's about advice for the partnership. And that is that really your best resource is your colleague next door or down the hall. They're such a wealth of experience, regardless of how many years of experience that might be. Everybody has something to bring. So never give up learning. I mean, both mentor and mentees both need to be learners in the relationship. And that's a really, really important part of it.
We hope that the spirit that guides mentoring work is of shared growth over time, so that teachers of various levels of expertise and various life experiences are able to come together and share their ideas in order to develop learning and create communities so that learning can continue to happen over time. And I think that that's when really exciting and meaningful things happen in schools and classrooms, is when you have these opportunities to have conversations that, you know, are rooted in common interests or research or planning for what comes next.
We mentioned earlier when we were talking that this type of relationship may be happening in many schools, in many classrooms, and between many teachers, but it happens almost by chance, one person helping another. It's a very informal thing. And what we're hoping with our book is that it becomes a conscious effort between mentor and mentee within school communities to look at the value of really helping each other in specific ways, identifying things that they really are genuinely interested in collaboratively, and to work with those things, those topics or those issues, whatever they might be, in a very determined and focused manner. And so we feel that the book will really help people to do that, and that the strategies that we offer will make it easier to approach mentoring in a much more concrete and focused manner.
And one of the things that makes our book and our work, I would say, unique is that we are really striving to shift the emphasis from what has been conventionally a relationship of two or a dyadic relationship to a culture or a community of mentoring, so that you are putting supports in place for these conversations to happen, not simply, as Diane alluded to, you know, informally, but certainly with some kind of intention and structure, moreover, as part of a community. And so what we're hoping, and you know, one of the chapters in our book is dedicated to this, is that we are providing the tools and strategies and supports for that mentoring relationship to develop into a mentoring culture and a mentoring community. What we did was we were bringing our associate teachers in for professional development to develop mentoring identity and knowledge and skills. And it was surprising to me how many wonderful mentors were working sometimes side by side out of two classrooms in the same school, and they didn't know that they were working in a mentoring capacity. So we had teachers who came in for the day of professional development who said, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to be here. I didn't know you were a mentor. I didn't know you were part of this program." And over time, over the course of the days that we had them, some of those groups of teachers had, and this is, you know, this is so emblematic of what teachers do. Some of them had decided to become champions of mentoring community in their schools. So they formed, you know, mentoring teaching teams. They decided to put together mentoring handbooks for the next year. And that was so enriching. And it was so great to me that we were able to sort of bring people together in a profession that can sometimes be a little bit isolated, sometimes feel a little bit lonely, even in the work of mentoring, which is traditionally relationship oriented, but bring them together in these like new dynamic connections and broaden their networks. So that speaks, I think, to the power of coming together with intention, and coming together with a desire to learn.
And I would add to that, too, one of the things that I really found interesting was listening to the teachers talk about what they were learning, the mentors themselves, what they were learning from the experience, what they were learning from their mentees. And one of the pieces that we share in our book is about a particular teacher who talked about being a better teacher on the day when their mentee was in the classroom. And that was a really exciting piece for us because it spoke to the importance of that reciprocal learning, and how that it's not just a one-way street where the mentee is getting the benefit of the experience of the mentor, but the mentor is also growing in the relationship and in their learning and in becoming a stronger teacher as a result of it. The book is written by teachers. Lana and I are both teachers. We've both had a lot of experience with mentoring, and we've both mentored within school contexts and also within university contexts. And so we wrote this book for teachers because we are teachers, and we really, believe in what teachers are doing and in what they want to do. And so we felt that that was an important part of our motivation.
So we're hoping that this book will be really useful for teachers, for teacher candidates coming out of education programs, for newly inducted teachers and their mentors, but also beyond that for district coaches and instructional coaches to use, for administrators to use with their staff, and even for teachers who don't have a formal mentoring role, but who are inherently sort of interested in the mentoring relationship to explore. We have tried to write the text in a way that shares a lot of story because our work is founded in the value of storytelling. So as you read through it, you'll have some excerpts on our experiences ourselves as mentors and mentees, but certainly also excerpts from our research, teachers sharing their own journeys and stories, which I think has really helped to broaden some of what we were trying to share from the text. And then one of the more important features of our text is that we have written somewhere in the vicinity of 30 mentoring moves. And those moves are not just talk moves. So by that I mean they're not simply a script that you follow in order to have a productive conversation, but we've also set them up as sort of black line masters or reproducibles so that they're easy for teachers to access without needing to read the whole text cover to cover, or easy for administrators to pull from if they want to work with some of their staff. And so we've really tried to make a text that's all about mentoring culture, mentoring community, but we've done so by sharing stories and by creating really concrete mentoring moves to help support the conversation.
And I think we've also tried to be really conscious of the fact that teachers are busy people. I mean, they're immersed in the work of the classroom all day. They're planning and perhaps assessing student work in the evenings. They're taking courses in the summers. I mean, teachers haven't got a lot of extra time in a day. And so we tried to design our mentoring moves to be really conscious of that and respect the amount of time that teachers have, and to provide really focused things that can happen in smaller chunks of time, and some that can even happen in very informal settings. For example, in one of our mentoring moves recommends that the teachers actually, go out for a walk 10 minutes after school and use that opportunity to speak to each other and to engage with one of the moves. So it's not always just something that you're going to sort of schedule in it on your calendar and sit down and do a specific task or activity. The mentoring moves are fluid enough that they can occur in different settings and can work at different times of day and with different environments the teachers might be in.